Meeting of the Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resources Commission to order. The mission of the Cottage Grove Parks and Recreation Commission is to create and promote policies, programs, and places that enable active living for a more vibrant community. Let's get started with our roll call.
Taken.
Okay. Has everyone had the opportunity to review the agenda?
Yes?
Okay, we have a new item to consider tonight, so I need a motion to add an action item for a grant letter of recommendation.
Motion. Do you want me to say it? Like motion to add the approval of the grant to the agenda?
Add the action item.
Action item
Okay.
to the agenda?
Okay, and then you have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Any additional discussion about adding this action item? Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. We're adding an action item. This will be the first one that we cover. And about that, there's a letter that's gone down the line, so we'll have a minute to talk about that. Did everyone have an opportunity to review the minutes from December?
Yep.
Okay. Any corrections or additions?
Nope.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Thank you. Second. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Motion carries. The minutes are approved. Any open forum this evening? Okay, any presentations?
None tonight.
All right. Then our new first action item is the grant letter of recommendation.
So with most grant applications, they have the opportunity to add letters of support from groups that, civic groups, volunteer groups, businesses, whoever might be interested in supporting a grant application. We have a grant application for Mississippi Dunes Park Development. So just like other grant applications, I've submitted the letter of recommendation that the Parks Commission could authorize to support, and just looking to see if the council or the commission is willing to include that letter of support. It's a $350,000 grant through the Minnesota DNR Outdoor Recreation Grant, and this would be for the future development of that smaller active portion of the park, the 8 to 10 acres on the southwest corner, where there'd be building, playground, picnic shelters, outdoor education, trails and things like that. So it's just that active portion of the park. And the grant's a match, it's 100% match, so trying to think if there's any other information. And it's due at February 28th, but then the grant actually is a 2-year, you have 2 years to actually use the grant, and typically after all the processes for the, if you actually get accepted, if your grant is accepted in the summer, then there's a process for the grant agreement to process, because they have to go through all the historical and archaeological discoveries. So really, it's about a 3-year process by the time you actually have to use the grant. So we're trying to get ahead of that curve now in case we use the funding. If for any reason we don't need the funding or don't want to use the funding in the future, this letter of recommendation doesn't tie us to anything. We haven't even submitted the grant yet, so you can always not apply for the grant. You can always get the grant and then pull back from the grant and not accept it. So lots of options moving forward, but just wanted to at least get the letter of recommendation if the commission so desires.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to include the grant letter of recommendation.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, next up, we have our Mississippi Dunes Park naming.
Thank you, Chair, members of the commission. We have talked about the potential name for the site we're currently referring to as Mississippi Dunes Reserve. After several meetings, the list of the meetings are on your agenda. Last meeting, we narrowed the list down to 3 park name, potential park names, Rivers Landing Park, Mississippi Dunes Park, and Dunes Park on the Mississippi. So I submit those before you, and the commission at this time can either make a recommendation to council or take other action as it sees fit.
To start us off, I'm going to pass down some Post-it notes. Please take one.
Do you need one?
Oh, I have one, thanks. And I'd like you to write down your favorite of the three names that we have, okay? And once you've written it down, then put it up on the ledge in front of us, and we'll see how close we are to making a decision. Okay, so please select one of the
Excuse me, Chair.
names on our
Would-
list.
Would
Yes.
it be possible to have any conversations prior to the vote or not?
I want to get the vote first to kind of see how close we are and how much conversation we might need to have.
Oh, I can't wait to see how it turns out.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, the results of the written ballot are Mississippi Dunes Park with 4, Rivers Landing Park with 2, Dunes Park on the Mississippi with 1, and 1 commissioner abstained.
Okay. All right, so in the lead, we have Mississippi Dunes Park. What do we think about that? Does anybody have any strong reservations from moving forward with that particular name?
If not, you could make a motion for a park name and see if it carries through the process. And you still have the opportunity for comments after the second. Motion, second, comments, discussion.
I can make a motion to recommend Mississippi Dunes Park for the park naming of Mississippi Dunes Park.
Okay, we have a motion.
I will second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have additional comments or questions? Okay, those in favor of recommending Mississippi Dunes Park?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Okay, with the majority of,
Call for any abstaining as well.
oh, any abstaining?
Thank you.
Okay. Well, then the motion carries with the recommendation to name the park Mississippi Dunes Park. Okay, thank you. Moving on, we have our E-Recreational Equipment Education Messaging.
Thank you, Chair, members of the commission. As you may recall, I believe it was in August, we had the commission and council discussion and in terms of the city ordinance, and what came up was E-Recreational Equipment Safety Measures. After a lot of discussion, we developed a handful of signs that the commission reviewed, and we've narrowed that list, or that the draft signs down to 4 signs based on the commission's recommendations. All 4 signs, well, they were the result of the commission's direction at the last meeting. I would recommend to start the program, we try to get down to 3 designs or less, just for simplification of manufacturing and getting them installed. But we would spread them throughout the town to try to get the message across in terms of safe use of coexisting on the trails. So I guess I'm looking for feedback from the commission on the signs that are provided to you.
Do you want us to tell you which ones we like?
Yes.
Okay.
And we can move forward with 1, 2, 3. I'd prefer not to move forward with 4, but
I mean, I kind of feel like the first one and the last one are pretty much the same thing. The last one's just less wordy.
So I had a question. Is the bike with the lightning bolt in it, is that like a universal sign for electronic bikes, or is that something that we came up with?
I've seen it used elsewhere. I don't know if it's a universal sign, but it's quite heavily used.
In that case, the number 4 was my favorite.
Chair? I really like the 2 middle ones because it sort of says the pedestrian has the right of way, which I think is really important. It implies the speed limit. I kind of like to have the speed limit on there, but I'm not sure that that matters so much. But I really like that image of if you're going to pass, be on the left side, make a noise, be audible, let people know where you are. And I just think that's really, really important. And that's essentially training for everyone, not just people with e-bikes, in my view.
I agree. I like both of those, and I think it gives information to lots of different users.
I like 3 and 4. I would like 3 more if we could somehow add a speed limit to it. I think number 3 has, I mean, even though I like it, I think it has too much wording that someone riding by it's not going to read, but you never know.
Could replace slow down with an image of a 15 miles per hour. So maybe it's signs 2, 3, and 4, and then on sign 3, to reduce the amount of words, use an image of the 15 miles per hour instead of slow down.
Maybe, yeah.
I kind of like slow down, because when you put the speed limit, people think, oh, maybe I should try and go that fast, too.
I get it.
You could do the last one. The last one where it says speed limit 15 miles per hour, you could say instead of trail speed, it could say slow down.
Well, I mean, like, I like that we have a mix of both. Like, we have the one that has the speed limit, we have one that says slow down, we have the one that just says share, which just sounds friendly, you know?
And the idea is to combine these, right? So there'd be
Yeah.
multiple signs at multiple trails.
I think there's value in multiple signs. People are seeing different messages, but getting the same message.
Will there be multiple signs along the trails, or are we just like, is it going to be one at like the entrance to each trail, or?
It depends on how large the trail system is, but I mean, I could see a Hamlet Park and a Cottage Grove Trailway corridor. You'd have one of each of these somewhere along the trails.
Okay, then I don't mind all the words on 3.
Well, then we're going to use it for social media campaigns and things like that as well, right?
Yep. Yeah, I see these images as being very useful for quick posts on Facebook or.
So can you run with it if we suggest 2, 3, and 4? Yep. And then the feedback that we've given you. So I'll make a motion. Do you need a motion, Zach, or do you
Yeah,
have what
please.
you need?
Yes, please.
I'd move for signs 2, 3, and 4.
I second.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries to recommend inclusion of signs 2, 3, and 4. And next, we have the Community Garden Project.
Thank you, Chair, members of the commission. In November, the Hope Garden Group of Cottage Grove approached the Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resource Commission and presented their thoughts for a potential community garden. So we sent them back with a list of questions and comments, and they've done their homework, and they do have representation in the audience, but essentially their written report is before you. They're proposing a community garden at Meadowgrass Park. They've talked about what it would take to build it, what it'll take to maintain it, and then some of the operational management items that will need to take place. They've also clearly laid out what would be expected of the city and what's being expected of the volunteer group. So as far as staff, I think everything's covered in the report. So just looking for feedback from the commission on whether that's something that you would like to see move forward.
Chair, if I could. So, from the beginning, I think we've expressed to you all that we like this idea, and we want to be as supportive as we can. So I'm really in favor of doing this. I think most of us are. Zach, I did have one question. Am I right that this is just down the road? I guess it would be west from the existing neighborhood gardens at Carpenter?
Yeah.
Is there potential collaboration there, or is that, I guess we want everyone to know that there's another garden, and I think that's a good thing. The more is better, in my opinion, but I just want to make sure that this group knew that one existed.
Yes, they're aware of the community garden at Shepherd's Farm. Shepherd Farm obviously does run that through their own programming, but certainly sharing the information is a valuable process.
We like gardeners, if that's the question. Did you all want to talk to us, or? Unless. We didn't know what the format was.
We appreciate the inclusion of the report and for providing copies for us to look at this evening. We did have the ability to look through these details prior to the meeting. I really appreciated the pictures, providing examples of what the fencing and the shed might look like, to give an idea of like the impact, the visual impact in the park, and the layout of the plots. So I thank you for putting that together for us.
Chair, if I may, I should also mention that I did include the resident letter that I sent out to contact neighbors around the park. So in case any of those are in the audience, we should probably see if anybody wants to speak to that as well.
Did we have any community members who had questions or comments about the community garden project? Zach, were you contacted by anyone?
I was not.
I did see that there's a potential request for a matching grant. Is that something we should talk about tonight, or is that to come in the future if the money's needed?
I can address the funding for the whole thing.
Maybe that'd be a good idea, sir.
If you want to use the arrows on the keyboard, you should be able to go forward to the next slides on there.
Okay.
Do you want me on the keyboard? Chance you could help them. Go to the right. It's just in order. There you go.
Oops, sorry. There's four parties involved here.
Go to the next one, you hit that one.
Okay. One is the city, of course, providing the land. And we've outlined what we need from the city, which is mostly help with digging holes. When we do the grant, we have to have some means of putting that grant in a bank somewhere and writing checks for the materials as we need them for the project. The master gardeners we have actually committed $2,500 this year to the park, and that will be mostly for the tool shed and the tools. It's our experience that most of the people that use a community park live in townhomes and apartments, and they don't have any place to put tools. And there's a lot of people that frankly just can't afford the tools. And so we've seen gardens start up with people with spoons, household spoons out trying to plant a garden. So we completely filled the shed. We've had a lot of concern from people that the tools are going to walk away. And at the end of the season, we had more tools than we started with. People were donating tools. So that was never a problem. So the master gardeners have committed that. The Washington County has SHIP grants, and that would be the primary funding source, which would be up to, $20,000. And that would cover the fencing and also the water. The water is our biggest challenge on any project. You can't have a garden without the water. And so those are the primary parties that are going to be involved to complete the project. And the grant that we talked about, if we need additional money, we would come to you to talk about the grant to do that.
So if they come and need the additional, like, funding from the commission, how long does it take to get them the funds? Like, what if they come, like, you know what I mean? What if they realize that they need this money to finish something? How long does it take for them to get that money so that they know when they should come and ask for that money?
Commissioner Crabtree, you're referring to the
matching grant.
The matching grant? That's immediate. Once
Oh,
the
okay.
commission takes action, that becomes immediate.
Okay.
And we'd like to get the garden up and going this year, if possible. So we're prepared. We've got a group of people to help put the fence up between the committee and the master gardeners. We'll get the fence in the ground and the tool shed built. So we're not concerned about that. The water's the biggest challenge, to have that for May 15th, hopefully, when the garden would start up.
I did have a question about the water, Zach. Is that, then do we give them the water, or is that metered, or how's that handled?
Commissioner Olson, we would treat it like an irrigation system, which is we monitor the usage, but we don't actually charge for it.
We don't have any concerns that we wouldn't be able to get the water in by May 1st? I mean, if we got a winter or I mean, it is like 50 feet from the water tower. It's,
Yeah, commissioners, it should work. I hate to promise anything, right? But yeah, I don't see how I mean, right, what's happening is we're actually going to be coming from the water tower, stubbing a main valve. It might even be off the fire hydrant there, but then after that, it's just irrigation. And it's irrigation, you're just pulling the pipe through the ground, and it's a very simple process, and we actually do that in-house. So we're just asking for the coverage of the materials. So I'm not,
Comment if it's helpful. It's May 15th, so it gives you 2 extra weeks. What's that?
that says May 1st on the sheet, that's why.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, that's the last possible frost.
I'm looking around the room, and these folks don't seem to be very worried about getting that set up. I think they've done it before, so I think we're more worried about making sure we do everything we can to help you, because I think we really want this to happen. And, so I guess, Zach, we'd have to work out a phone tree or something if we needed to approve that grant before we get together again.
well, we'd be back
Get
together.
back together in March.
In March.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Chair, I think there's 2 parts. One, just, getting the action to support the Hope Garden proposal as it's submitted. And then also, I'm guessing the group may want the commission's support if they do a grant application through Washington County SHIP. So just maybe offering your support, if you're interested, for the grant submission for the Staying Healthy Initiative Program, is that what it's called? Statewide Health Initiative Program that the group would apply for through the county, if they need it.
So is that 2 separate motions or just one motion?
I think you can make one motion for both. And you can just, if someone wants to make the motion based on what I just said, you can do that.
I motion to approve the support of the Hope Garden Community Project.
Second?
Okay, any additional questions or comments? Okay, so motion is to recommend collaboration with Hope Garden and their application for funding.
Yes.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. We're excited to see where this project goes. Thank you so much for the work that you have put into this. And you're welcome to stay, but you don't have to.
Yeah. Bring some, what you're doing to our meetings.
I know, right?
Okay, next we have the bike park project.
Thank you, Chair, members of the commission. The Bike Park Volunteer Group is requesting consideration for approval the modifications of the current dirt bike pump track and turn it into more of a bike skills plaza. They did submit their master plan and what the images of what that might look like and the location of the proposed site. The modifications will require activities like grading of the site. Right now, it's the pump track, so it's actually built on top of the elevation. So grading that back down to level, pouring a concrete slab, and then purchasing equipment and installing the bike skill plaza elements. The items they purchase are manufactured by a reputable company that, it's like a playground, right? So they build them, they insure their product and warranty their product. So then they put those onto the concrete slab. In the 2024, 2028 capital improvements plan, we do have $50,000 budgeted for those pump track improvements. When we originally budgeted, the plan was to do something different with that pump track. Didn't know exactly what it was going to be. Sounds like this is the new different plan for that pump track area. So we can allocate that $50,000 for this project. And then additionally, Chance is here with the Bike Park Group, and he can speak, maybe he could speak to it as well, but they're asking for approval of $2,500 from the matching funds program to further help that cause. And I did include a list of the matching funds program journal. I know a couple commissioners have asked for that in the past, just to kind of understand what's been spent, how it's been spent, so I did include that for you as well. With that, we'll take questions, but again, Chance is in the audience too, if you have questions or would like him to present more.
Well, thanks for clarifying where the 50,000 fit in. So I had two questions. Well, first comment, thank you also very much for including our program journal, as you called it. That is tremendously helpful, and I really appreciate it. I feel heard because we had asked for it, so thank you for that. And I think I know the answer to this, but I just want to make sure. If I understand the request, the matching part will be in like-kind volunteer labor, which I'm not opposed to that. I just want to make sure it's something we've done in the past. Is that correct?
That's correct. They are also planning on supplying some product too, but yes, there'll be tens of thousands of dollars in volunteer labor that they'll be supplying. Perhaps Chance wants to speak more to that.
Yeah, so it'll definitely be volunteer labor. We do thousands of dollars worth of volunteer labor every year at the bike park, and we've done so for the last 10 years. But we are also going to be hopefully raising funds through sponsorship/donations that would also qualify us for matching that $2,500. We'll also continue to work with our other community partners like Rumpke Excavation, who regularly will help us out with material that also would qualify for that, and trucking and so forth. Yeah, so I don't think there'll be any issue with us meeting the $2,500 matching portion of that. The Minnesota Off-Road Cyclists, the nonprofit that has supported us for the last 10 years, will also be contributing money towards this project once we start. So there'll be additional monetary funding as well. So that's kind of where we're at with this. The overall cost estimate is around $125,000 to build out to completion. What we've shown in the drawing, there's room for potential cost savings, working with the city, Jim and his crew, to help with some of the grading and dirt work that will potentially save us money with the contractor, whoever we go with for the concrete work. And like I've mentioned before, Rumpke Excavation, potentially we could save some money there with a donation of material for the Class 5 and other things like that. We'll also be trying to reach out to other businesses, like Menards and so forth, as the features will be made out of wood.
So I actually have a question.
Okay?
You said, when, in the stuff you wrote, that, like, this is unique to the metropolitan area, this type of bike park,
We,
and to the state?
well, we were
maybe?
the first bike park ever in the state of Minnesota. We were also the first paved pump track in the state of Minnesota. Since then, there has been a paved pump track added to Perkins Hills Park in Minneapolis and Taft Bike Park. It's a lot smaller than ours. It's approximately the size of 2 hockey rinks, because that's what it replaced, in Richfield. Opened last year. So as of right now, those are the only 2 other bike park places. I take that back. Afton, actually, there's a private one that just opened in Afton. That's a little bit more mountain bike specific, with mountain biking trails and so forth. But yeah, we are unique. We are a destination. We do get people from all over. I've met people from Canada, Oregon.
So are these like, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but are these like events and stuff then?
We do host, we host events, free events, like we call them jams. They're group rides. At this point, we haven't explored hosting competitions, because that will require event insurance, and so sponsors typically, because those usually involve some sort of payout and things like that.
Right.
That's definitely something we would like to explore at a future date, but we just haven't got to that point yet. Yeah, so we continue to try and innovate and progress with the riding trends as much as we possibly can. The park was built in about 3 major phases. The first phase was 100% volunteer built. Then we had the Bell Built grant that we won, and that included the IMBA, the International Mountain Biking Association, who worked with myself and one other person here locally, and we built another section, and then we did a different DNR grant that helped us secure the 3rd phase, or the primary part of the 3rd phase, and we had a company out of Colorado come and build that out. And then this last summer, myself, my father came from South Dakota to run machines for a week, and then my 2 friends that are professional trail builders, we redid a section last summer, which you guys provided this similar grant for covering that part of that aspect of rentals and stuff. So, but this new section will actually be unique in the fact that there is nothing like this in the state of Minnesota currently. There's not anything that will. The closest thing was, there was an indoor park that closed 5 years ago now. That would have been the closest thing that was built specifically for bikes and ramp riding, so.
Well, I think it's really cool. I think it's a neat partnership between ourselves, the city, and you all, so nice job.
Thank you.
Molly, do we program the bike park at all, or use it for safety camp or anything?
We do not, no. James does all of that through fundraising efforts to rebuild the bike park, so nothing comes back to the city at this point if they do programs, events, things like that.
Okay. Need any speed limit signs? I don't know.
I don't think any
Well
of,
done. Well
I
done,
don't think any of those bikes have speedometers on them, so it wouldn't matter anyways. Maybe the path out in front.
That'd be like this street, you know, with the speed. You can go fast as fast.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, this might take a few years to complete. It just really depends on how much community support we can get with fundraising and so forth. That was part of the thing in here is I'll be reaching out to places to hopefully get sponsorship donations and so forth to help raise it. Yeah, it really just depends on what we get for financing, and otherwise it'll just be a build it as we can afford it kind of thing. That's kind of how we've always done the bike park.
So Chair, if I may, looking for two actions. One, if the commission supports the bike park plan, a motion to support the bike park improvement plan that's submitted. And then the second part would be to consider the request for the matching funds program.
I'll make a motion to pass the plan or approve the plan and then also support the funding request.
Okay.
I'll
thank you.
second both of those.
All right. Any other questions or
Let's
comments?
vote on one at a time, though.
One at a time?
I'll second the first one then.
I'll race you to the second one.
Okay, so first motion is to approve the bike park improvement plan. And a motion and a second. Those in favor of approving the improvement plan?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries to approve the improvement plan. And then our next consideration is the matching funds request.
Okay, I'll make a motion to move forward with the matching request.
Second.
Any questions or comments about the matching funds request? Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries to approve the matching fund request.
Yay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done.
Next, we have our commissioner terms and officer positions.
Thank you, Chair. It's that time of year where we reappoint commissioners, and I've got great news. Everyone wants to come back for another term, so that's exciting. And then everyone's coming back for another term. And then we also need to appoint our officers. We have two officer positions, the chair and then the vice chair. Chair Brown has asked to go back into a regular commissioner role, so we're going to honor that. And the process for that is the city council liaison actually chooses who or recommends to the city council who the next chair is. He is recommending Commissioner Larson, so that'll go to I believe it's the February 21st meeting. Commissioner Larson will be up for recommendation as the chair of the commission, so I'm sure he'll transition us just fine. So excited to have him come on board, and very happy that Commissioner Brown has carried us through the past couple of years too. So, but we do need to appoint the vice chair position, which is currently Commissioner Crabtree. So looking to the commission to appoint the vice chair position. And that can be done with a motion and a second, or a silent vote, or however you would like to handle it, Chair.
You want to keep being vice chair?
Sure.
And you can motion multiple commissioners if you would like, so.
Does anybody else want to be vice chair? Okay. Motion that Commissioner Crabtree is the vice chair.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay.
Nice campaign.
Carries.
Best campaign I've nailed.
All right, next we have action updates about the Kingston Park building.
Thank you, Chair, members of the commission. You had the opportunity to be pretty intimately involved with the concept design work of the Kingston Park building. I'd like to share with you that the council was equally excited about the concept design that came out of that. And just a reminder, it's still a concept design. There's still no schedule and there's still no budget. So, but it's a very pretty picture that we have. But like any master plan, it sits on file until the council is ready to take action on it. But they did want to move forward with developing the plans. So we did hire Ortel Architects who developed the concept plan, so they will develop the plans for the building. And again, once those plans are approved, then they just sit on file until the council is ready to identify a budget and a schedule for it. So just want to share with you that that continues to move forward in the process. And then also Mississippi Dunes Park Building, I'll address that one. So as we've been dealing with that new 8 to 10 acre active part of the park, we've had that master plan on file, I think, since since mid 2021. But as the housing developer adjacent to this project, potential housing developer, has reviewed our plan, how it mixes with his plan. There's some debate, like any park project plan. You know, there's a master plan on file, and then there's what he's planning. So there can be road realignments, there can be, you know, maybe the parking lot shifts a little bit. Maybe the grades aren't exactly what we thought they were when we did the master plan, because we didn't own the land back then. So there's just all these little things that can shift and move. But I assure you, what's in the master plan is still, that's our intent, to build those items in that master plan. Or that's still what we intend to build. It's just things may move and shift a little bit. But what we found out is when we're talking about all of these items and how things might move or shift, the building's the cornerstone, or it's the centerpiece of the project. It's the hub. So without understanding how that building lays out, not just the building, but the building, because the parking lot's affected by the building, the landscaping around the parking lot's affected by the building, how the trails shoot off from the building, those things all matter. ADA accessibility, that matters. If we're gonna keep the tiers in place, because maybe the building has an upstairs and a downstairs for accessibility. Maybe it's got switchbacks for trails instead. Maybe it has an elevator. So those are all things that we think we need to start identifying, so that we can talk with developers, whether it's this developer or some developer in the future, or we just want to move the plan forward ourselves of what we do with some of these grades, because right now there's a lot of grade shifting on the site. So we want to develop a concept master plan for the building, just like we did with Kingston. So right now it's just a pretty picture and a file, but it's gone through the vetting process with engineers and architects so that we understand how it lays out on the land, and that it can get utilities to it, and you know how it serves the public as well. So the city council did authorize moving forward with ISG, who is the company that did the master plan for the park. They also have an architectural team, so they'll start the concept design work, and that takes, you know, several months, probably 3 or 4 months for them to start developing that. But you'll start to see renderings and images, and again, have plenty of opportunity to provide feedback for that. But just want to share that with you, that, you know, that's a key step in the process of envisioning what that park looks like in the future. So it'll be another exciting project that we're just starting.
I don't know if you need for reference, but this page is not in the packet. That's why they were looking at you.
Oh,
It's not in here.
it's on the agenda.
That's what they're staring
Oh,
at you like, keep going. Is there more? There's not more.
nope, that's it.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So hypothetically, if like this development thing doesn't pan out right now, does the city have to wait until the developer comes in and starts in order to start this park? Or can the city start this park without a developer?
So the 8 of the acres have actually already been dedicated by the current landowner to the city. So we actually own 8. There is a small, and that's why I would say 8 to 10 acres. There's a small portion of the park on the very far west side. There's a home on it right now that we'll get when the site develops at some point in the future. We may get that sooner rather than later, but essentially that 8 acres is ours, and we can develop it for the park and recreational use.
So is there a timeline? Like, I mean, does the city have a timeline of when they are gonna start, like, the whole process? I know, like, there's, like, they have the master plan and all that, but, I mean, could hypothetically they start this summer, like, moving things along? Or is this, like, years out, or? I
Commissioner
just see so
Crabtree,
many
yep.
questions about it on social media, so I'm just wondering, like,
Yep, so
what we're
nothing will
looking at.
happen this summer. Local option sales tax is the, kind of going to be one of the caveats to how fast this goes. So again, we have a master plan for the site. If the local option sales tax were to get approved by the community, then obviously things would get elevated and moved along much faster than if they aren't. If they're not, then we just have to wait and seek other funding sources, or the council can identify other funding sources for the projects, but that means it'll typically take quite a bit longer than it would without the local option sales tax.
Thanks.
And that local option sales tax is a referendum in November.
Okay, thanks for those updates. Do we have any donation acknowledgements?
None tonight.
Okay. And then included in our packet, we had information about staff reports and educational materials.
Just submitted that information for you to review, and if you have questions, I'm happy to answer.
I was so surprised that they were golfing, and it just blew my mind. Like, not just the weather, but also that the turf could handle that at this time of year. But that was exciting to see that they were able to provide another opportunity for people to get out and use the golf course.
The turf cannot handle it,
Oh,
but there's a risk reward, so it's a matter of how much it can handle. That is the challenge. I always tell people, every divot that comes out doesn't really get repaired until Memorial Day at this point, right? So everything from last fall all the way through Memorial Day, any divot you take out has to just sit there and wait before it can germinate, later in the spring. So it's a challenge, but it works. They know what they're doing.
Actually, I had a question about something that's not on your report. Is that fair
Yes.
game? So we had granted a application for, I believe it was $2,500 for the RC car park. Could we get an update on that? Or do you all have any update on that?
Our superintendent, Jim Foreman's been kind of leading that project. I'll defer to him.
So when we did that last fall, we never actually did approve the 2,500 for that. It's on there, but they never came back actually requesting the money. When we met down there at the park and we talked about it, they didn't actually request the money. They were still trying to put their figures together. It was talked about that they might come back, and they have not come back with any further plans or design activity.
So, but it's on the report for last year.
because we were willing.
I'll have to go back and take a look at how that happened. If it needs to be removed from that journal, I can remove it.
Right. Because I think I want to see, I agree, we were willing, but until the money goes out, I don't think it should be on this
Right.
list. That's just, sorry, I shouldn't tell you, that's just an opinion, but,
Yep, nope, that's fair enough. Yeah, I only put on the list what's been funded, so.
because when I saw it, that's what made me, that's why it was in my head to ask. Thanks, Jim. And let us know, I mean, what ends up happening. I guess nothing's going to happen, probably.
I will probably reach out to them again and see
Okay.
if they have any further plan.
Okay, that'd be great. No big hurry, but I'd kind of like to feel like we close the loop on it.
I will do that.
Thank you.
I also did hear from some community members' appreciation for trying to get some ice rinks up, at least having them out for a little while, because I understand the amount of work that goes into that, and we're just thankful that an effort was made to have some skating.
That'll be well received. It was a lot of work.
Okay, next we have commission comments, and we do have the inclusion of the Washington County Parks and Open Space Commission notes. Did you want to give us a summary, Commissioner Olson?
Not really, unless anybody had questions. I did want to push you to page 43. Their county is putting forward to the state of Minnesota a request for funds to bring lights to our Cottage Grove Ravine Regional trails. And so I think this is a really good idea. We as a community, if you will, not Cottage Grove, but the broader community, have invested a lot of money in that park in the last 5 years or so. And this always increases usage, is what they say. The parks folks at the county say, when we do this, we drive up usage considerably, because you just add more time in the spring and fall that it can be used even when there's not snow. So I would just ask that each of you reach out to your state legislators and ask them to approve this. So, thank you.
Yeah, it was exciting too to see the increase that that park has seen in visits. So I'm glad you shared that. Okay. Next would be council comments. We do have council notes in our packet.
And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have if I can give you the answers. I will say that Councilman Kambata is no longer a liaison. Councilperson Garza will be our new council liaison for the coming year. She did email me. She was unable to attend tonight.
All right. And we have no workshop this evening, yay. So unless we have additional questions or comments, did you have something? Then our agenda is complete, so I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Second?
Dang it. My mic wasn't on.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. We're adjourned.